I got to $1 million practice very quickly, had an associate very quickly, but it wasn't reflecting itself in the bank account. So I got to a point where I was like, all right, something is not right. Just being a great doctor is not enough. I had to learn how to become a great businessman.
Hello, Smart Chiropractors. Welcome to Interviews by the Smart Chiropractor. I'm Dr. Jeff Langmaid here with my co-host, Dr. Jason Deitch. Today, we have the opportunity to sit down and chat with a new friend of mine, but somebody that has been in and around the profession for quite a while with a tremendous amount of success. We're going to talk about some of that history as well as what he's up to today. Dr. Brian Paris. Brian, thanks for coming on and chatting with us today.
Thank you for having me. And if you're watching this on video, I forgot to wear my hoodie. So I'm not watching the team, but I'm still here with you guys.
You're still in the club.
Thank you for letting me in.
It's our pleasure. So, Brian, you and I connected a few weeks ago through Brian Capra at Genesis, and you do and are in charge of all of the business development at Genesis. I know we want to get there, but I'd love to peel back the onion a little bit and talk about your extensive experience in chiropractic practice and how that really came together with the challenges you were having, the opportunities you saw, how Genesis helped take things to the next level. And ultimately that opened up the opportunity and why we're chatting today.
I guess I have to go way back in history, but I'll do this fast. I focused, my whole life of being accepted by my family was academics and athletics. So I did really good at all those. And I used that same heads down approach when I went to chiropractic school. I fell in love with CBP, became a CBP practitioner, approached practice with that heads down aspect, really not paying attention to the wake of destruction that I was leaving behind me. Not being a good business manager by, micromanaging employees and not having systems, not having good financial acumen, not paying attention to things as much like retention. I was just focused, be the best doctor possible, and everything else will figure itself out. But I got to a point where personally, I was working 40 hours a week. That turned into 50 hours a week. That turned into 60 hours a week, 70, and then I got divorced. Boom. So those listeners out there, anyone have trouble with work-life balance? I'm sure we've all experienced that before. That same aspect where, I got to $1 million practice very quickly, had an associate very quickly, but it wasn't reflecting itself in the bank account. So I got to a point where I was like, all right, something is not right. Just being a great doctor is not enough. I had to learn how to become a great businessman. I was friends with Brian Capra for, 15 years prior to that. And we went to school together. I talked to all of my colleagues and all of the people that I respected in the field. And I said, what do I do here? How do I figure this out? And I kept hearing Genesis come back to me, Genesis. So at a certain point, like midway through my practice life, I joined up with Genesis. I got to work with their team. I got to work with their integration team and everybody that helped me learn the business acumen. And it turned my practice around. Went from $1 million in revenue to $3 million in revenue. Went from, creating a culture of accountability and then using technology to leverage that accountability. Those are just to name a few. So, and then fast forward a little bit more, that part of my life is ending. My kids are leaving the nest. I'm ready to start working remote and move on to a different area and realize that I still have a desire and a passion to amplify the chiropractic profession. So I wanted to do it from the business side, helping other chiropractors not make the same mistakes I made. And then also, really start leveraging the things that are available, like your organization, the things you're doing, like Genesis, like so many other people that I'm meeting in recent months.
Hey doc, the money is in your list. If you're not utilizing weekly email newsletters to drive reactivations into your practice, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. To schedule a demo and see how we help hundreds of docs do this each and every week, go to thesmartchiropractor.com today. Again, that is thesmartchiropractor.com. Schedule a demo with our team. But right now, we'll get back into this awesome interview on Interviews by the Smart Chiropractor.
You're here. I just want to make sure our listeners are getting, you are here. That's your story, your evolution. You are now selling, offering, promoting Genesis software. It's one of those, it works so good for me, I decided to go work for them.
Yes.
Kind of things. I'd love for you to continue. You started with, well, I learned these things I didn't know just being a great doctor about business acumen, and so on. Do you want to dig down a little bit deeper into what those sort of ahas were and how Genesis taught you that and helped solve for those problems?
Yeah, sure. I'm not only a club president, I'm a member. No, I'm not. I'm not only club vice president, I'm also a member. I'll take it a step back even. So I'm doing sales, but it's more relationship development. And this is, as chiropractors, we're people. And I'm finding that's always been my best skill, way better than the numbers and the KPIs and things like that. So my job is now developing relationships with people like you so that you can see the benefits of Genesis with your spheres of influence. And that's how I think the profession at large can work the best that way. Because I find that many of our brothers and sisters, they become ostriches, head down in the sand, not seeing how awesome chiropractors are expanding the role of business to apply to their practices. Taking things from other industries as far as business intelligence, artificial intelligence, automated workflows, all those. I'm speaking high level, but there's so many things out there that I missed out on because I was like, no, I don't want to listen to anybody. I'm in my lane and I'm good. But from coaching groups to all of it, the number one thing is really dialing it back to the patient experience. As business owners now, we're not just competing against medical doctors and quote unquote, I don't want to say other chiropractors, I'm saying it, but we're in this world where instant gratification is like the number one emotional serotonin hit for people. People are used to clicking on a button and getting something mailed to them within less than 24 hours. So they want that same experience coming into our offices, right? So if I have to sit there in 2023 and use a use a pen pen and fill out 15 pages of paperwork that are copied and tattered and looking horrible, then, I'm missing out on leveraging so much technology that it's available, from a patient check-in kiosk to things like that. So always paying attention, whatever type of technique or approach you take in practice, it doesn't matter. The patient experience is number one. Are they having an amazing experience every single time they go in the office, out of the office, so that, this is a commonplace statement, but creating raving fans every single, not just once, but every single experience. Because as you guys know, like one bad experience, one bad review, it throws off decades of work. So really paying attention to how the efficiencies in your office are affecting that patient experience every single time. And that has to do with, is my credit card stored safely? Is my patient experience for paperwork efficient or is it sloppy? Am I getting an accurate patient statement? Am I able to schedule online? Am I able to get a review and read other reviews online? So all those little variables, every single step along the way becomes important. I would say that our underlying technology is something that our founders created, Dr. Capper, who's known in the chiropractic field, and our other owners, Erez Lirov, everybody's seen, is also, you've probably seen him in the field. He's a computer science guy. And we have Yuval Lirov, who is also he's got patents in AI. So all this is powered by artificial intelligence. And they created something called single point management. And what that allows the system to do for you is it'll find work. So your staff isn't looking for work to do and trying to find things to do. It finds it, then it assigns it to the appropriate person. If it's a credit card that's declined, it's going to the front desk CA. If it's a claim that got denied, it's going to the insurance biller. If it's a patient that's asking for exercises, it's going to the CA or the lead chiro or an associate chiro. So it finds the work, assigns the work, and then measures it. So as a business manager, at the end of the day, I'm not looking at the details of the task. I'm looking at, okay, my CA had 7 tasks at the end of the day, and there still have 3. What's going on? So it allows me to be, even leading with empathy as well, not saying, why did you do this, right? That was my old style of business management. More so, hey, you still got 3 tasks. I see you're not finishing your tasks on a consistent basis. How can I help you? And asking that question, the staff member may say, I got 300 tasks done today and I only have 3 left. So then the question comes, all right, am I not dividing tasks appropriately and appropriate areas of things that people need to do? Or that staff member can say, you know what, I don't know how to do this, right? So maybe it's a training issue that you have. Or, doc, I hate tasks. I don't want to do them. So that's a really nice piece of evidence for you as a manager, because you can say, okay, maybe I got the wrong person in, maybe just the wrong person in the company, not the wrong person in the wrong seat. So that's the basis of that. I can keep drilling down, but I don't want to take all the air in the room.
I think you're doing a great job, because I'm going to ask you to go one level deeper in a moment, because I think of an EHR, it's like a license. It's something that's inherent to practice. There's probably a couple unlicensed docs out there practicing, and there's probably a couple people left without an EHR. That's neither here nor there. That 99.9% of practicing chiropractors have a license and use an EHR. It's like death and taxes, right? So with that, the workflow becomes critically important. It's an inherent part of what you do. You touched on it with the patient experience. It's how you engage with interfacing between your business and the patient is through the EHR. And for many docs out there can be shortcomings, pitfalls. And I know Genesis has done a lot of work, and you just described some of it, eliminating the shortcomings, eliminating the pitfalls, getting out of the way, and automating things behind the scenes to make the doc job easier, which is focusing on the patient in front of them. You pointed out a couple, but whether it's those and you'd like to drill deeper or others, what are some of your favorite features that I'm going to say allow Genesis to almost get out of the way and allow the doctor to do more of what they'd like to do, because Genesis is doing the hard work behind the scenes?
Great question. I gotta go into my sales pitch now. Into my demo pitch. I think I just want to take it back one step too, because in the tech world, there's two terms: user interface and user experience. And I think, and also you brought up the word workflow. And I think just from a high level business perspective, understanding and looking at your workflows is going to allow you to run your machine more efficiently. If you're just letting processes run wild and not documenting them and not figuring this out, and also not automating when you can automate, it takes more time, it's less efficient. And again, that user experience and that user interface with your practice is minimal. And then you're losing patients and they're talking with their feet. I love the task system, because it allows you, and that's like the engine behind, it's really the tech behind single point management. Some of the other features are integrations. We integrate with companies like Fortis and Sked, so that, if someone's credit card gets declined, if you're and also we integrate with cash practice. So for merchant services and care plans, things like that. So if you have a credit card that gets declined, I'm not going 1, 3, 6 months down the road where I'm missing a monthly payment. My practice is dependent on that cash flow. I'm getting an immediate task that's sent to the appropriate staff member, and they can get those changes quickly. I love the documentation system as well. And we're constantly innovating. That's why, I recently came up with a funny quote. Basically, if your CTO is not coding, does he or she really exist? So if you've ever hung out with Eric as our CTO, he goes to a lot of shows. He's very personable, and he's always coding. He's got like the Lamborghinis of computers, and his thing moves faster than any computer I've ever seen, but he's always coding. If he's not talking to somebody, he's coding. So I think the innovation that's being created from, we're very soon launching business intelligence, which is really integrating artificial intelligence with business metrics. So you can choose what KPIs that you want the system to start measuring and pulling data out, so that the system will then start shooting those reports to you, whether it's PVA retention or revenue cycle management. You could look at, your expenses, inventory, you name it, any KPIs that report, patient visits, all that kind of stuff. I like the task checklist too. I think it's a phenomenal feature, because again, it allows you to organize your own workflows. Meaning, if I know what my new patient process looks like, and I have to, let's say I don't take x-rays in the office and I refer them out. So one of the steps is, the patient tour. The next one is getting the insurance information, or, financial agreements, and then the care plan, and then the sending out for x-rays, getting those x-rays back. So those can all be assigned to different task members, different staff members. They each get a task that you measure at the end of the day. As far as other features are concerned, I love how interactive and easy our scheduling is. So we can also create a schedule if you're doing an integrative office or different services. A lot of people nowadays are doing whether it's shockwave or massage therapy, acupuncture, chiropractic, physical therapy. You can have different schedules where you can actually look at it visually as a practitioner or staff member and say, okay, this person's coming in getting adjusted, then they're getting a massage, then they're going in and getting decompression. So you're able to look at those, and each one of those relates to a different note. So now you can have a different note for each discipline. Lastly, one of my other favorite things is the patient portal. So you can use it as a kiosk, or the patient can use it on their phone. So that way, when you're entering in your subjective, objective treatment plan, or really subjective stuff, from the patient's perspective, the interface is awesome. Body diagram, really simple clickable buttons, that all feeds directly into your note. Then that note can be passed into your initial exam, passed into the daily note, and it can all, it all builds on itself, and it's all configurable and relatively customized.
Hey, it's Dr. Jason. I just want to take a brief moment and invite you to schedule a demo with our team to learn more about our patient pilot automated email campaigns. They are the smartest way to reactivate the people you've seen over the years in the past. Check it out, schedule a demo. We look forward to helping you help more people and piloting your patients back into your practice. Now back to our show. This is awesome, Brian. I like that it's evolving from beyond just a place to store private health information, but it's actually becoming a business tool. That's awesome. As Jeff said earlier, 90+% of chiropractors already have some sort of EHR software. The idea of having to learn something new, the idea of having to, hope nothing goes wrong with transferring data from one to the other, I'm sure are probably two of a long list of reasons why let's not, fix what's not broken.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that process and why they should perhaps feel at ease and comfortable? What's your process? Should those be concerns for people who already have EHR systems?
They should be a concern, and they are always a concern. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I would say that 99% of the people that I talk to, it's like, is the pain of learning something new more important than the pain or deeper than the experience or the inefficiencies that you're already having, right? And I think that's my job relationally to present that to the customer, to the client, to the chiropractors and other practitioners. It's a painful process, and you got to go through it. You got to learn. It's like getting a new car, right? Or I like to mountain bike, so getting a new bike, getting used to that the bike is not as complex typically as a software. I think your desire to be a more efficient business or have a more efficient business, I'm hoping that will supersede it. Now, that being said, we've realized that is a bottleneck for a lot of people, taking stuff from their cloud over to our system, or taking stuff from a dusty old server into the cloud, into our system. We have a full integration team and a full transition team. So we have a step-by-step process where, we want to provide as much of a red carpet, white glove experience that you guys are providing to your patients in that same regard. So we have a complete library of self-learning tools, and we have coaches and integration processes put into place so that we're keeping up on you and helping you hold yourself accountable. Just like we have created, or we're teaching the profession really through single point management to create a culture of accountability, we use that same technology for ourselves in order for our customers to integrate as smoothly as possible. And some people need a little bit more handholding. Some people who are on paper, and you would be surprised, I have seen it in 2023 where people are still using a lot of paper, and that's a much harder jump. Software to software, definitely a jump, but we have the tech team and the tech power to be able to get the data over, and even potentially work on some things that your billing team or collections team is unable to handle in the current capacity that they're in. So we pay attention to it, and like with a laser focus to make sure that's taken care of. I'm glad you brought that up,
Brian. That is important and impactful. Everybody listening and watching, I want you to kind of rewind, if you're listening and watching, what Brian just said, because we all know the pain of bringing new software into a practice. Their team, as Brian elaborated on, are really experts. And as he said, laser focused on helping you overcome that. Being able to utilize and maximize the tool and the system is critical. Brian, I got to come back on you from about 10 minutes ago. You missed your most important integration partner, on planet Earth. You're looking at the guys right now. So for everybody listening,
I'm sorry about that.
no, that's all right. I'm putting down a little bit there, but for real, everybody listening and watching that utilizes a Smart Chiropractor and Patient Pilot, we do have a integration with Genesis. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if you are a client listening of Genesis, interested in how you can power more reactivations automatically, or clearly, if you are a Smart Chiropractor, if you're somebody utilizing Patient Pilot or the Smart Chiropractor, and you use Genesis, or you'd like to move over to Genesis, bring that up to us. We are happy to connect you and make that happen. Brian, I know we're just about up against time, so also going to encourage everybody listening and watching, click on down below, connect with Brian and his team. Again, we're going to drop a link in the show notes. It's going to make it exceptionally easy for you to connect with Brian and his team over at Genesis and explore what they have to offer. If you think back to the last week, the last month, and you've been frustrated with your current workflow, your current EHR system, you've noticed a limitation, or you have an automation issue, contact them, have a conversation, see if Genesis can do for you what it did for Brian, taking his practice to the next level, helping him be a better manager and business person within his business, which is one of the most important things we can do. And when there's a software that does the heavy lifting for us, so we can focus on the patient care, that makes it even more better. Brian, thanks so much for taking time out of your day and chatting with us. Everybody listening and watching, click that link down below, connect with Brian and his team, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this video on the Smart Chiropractor. To not miss a single thing that's clinically oriented, marketing oriented, or more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel today.